Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're doing another Swiss Battle for Zendikar draft. Rare is Conduit of Ruin. Fine card. I don't think it's the first pick though. I think Windrider Patrol is what we're looking at. I guess there's Clutch of Currents too, but I think Windrider Patrol is probably more powerful. I don't know how close that is actually. I mean, Clutch of Currents is very good. This is like a good finisher. They're both powerful blue cards. And they're both the strongest cards in the pack. Pretty confident in saying that. There's nothing else in here that's really worthy of first pick, I would say. I mean, Outnumber is okay. Transgress is a fine card, but I don't want to first pick it. Yeah, I think it's Windrider Patrol versus Clutch of Currents. Probably Patrol. Like I said, though, I don't know for sure. It just seems like 5 mana, 4 power, evasive, with ability. Good, really good ability, too. Yeah, I think we take the Patrol. That is tough, though. Clutch of Currents is a great card, but I think Patrol's just better. Okay, well, easy follow-up pick, I think, with Sky Spawner, because Sky Spawner is just excellent. There's a Herald of Kozilek in here, too, which is very good, and might even be better if I was for sure in blue-red, but Sky Spawner is just always good in blue, so I'm just going to take it. Maybe wheel the Cloud Manta. More likely wheel the Coral Helm Guide. We'll see. Ooh, Brutal Expulsion. That's pretty good. There's a Deathless Behemoth in here, too. How good is Expulsion? I mean, it's pretty good. No doubt. 2 abilities. I might just want Behemoth instead, though. Because why? Because it doesn't commit me to red. Like, I could still more easily be blue-white if I take Deathless Behemoth. It's also just an insane bomb. Very difficult to deal with. 6 mana, 6/6 Vigilance. Pretty excellent. Reproach, you know, good for like blue-white flyers, but I think we take Behemoth over Expulsion here. I don't need to commit to red yet, and Behemoth is just always going to be insane. I'm never not going to play a Deathless Behemoth. I didn't have to say I'm never not. I could have just said I'm always going to play Deathless Behemoth. Oops. Okay, so now we've got some green cards. As expected, we have Rush of Ice, Encircling Fissure, Stonehaven Medic, Fortified Rampart, Tightening Coils. I might just want Tightening Coils here. It's a solid blue card. It's going to work really well if we have this evasion going on already. Cuts blue. I think that makes sense. Otherwise, Encircling Fissure is probably a pretty good card for blue-white flyers, too. Just negate your entire attack. I get to get in with my flyers. But I think Tightening Coils is fine here, too. Either way, if we end up in blue-white, I'm going to like Tightening Coils. I think Encircling Fissure is slightly better, I guess, if I end up in blue-white, but I want to cut blue anyway, and I think Tightening Coils currently looks great for our deck anyway, so we'll take it. Coral Helm Guide, Demon's Grasp, Snapping Gnarlid, Cliffside Lookout. I guess we take Coral Helm Guide. There's Devastator in here, which I don't really care about. Demon's Grasp, which is fine. Guess Guide's not the best, but I mean, it's a cheap creature. I could just take the Grasp, actually. Maybe blue-black could be something. I mean, Coral Helm Guide's fine. It's not really a card you need. I mean, it cuts blue, I guess, if I take Coral Helm Guide. That might be a good reason to do it. This early, getting all the blue out of the packs makes less people inclined to want to go into it. I mean, in this pack's case, no one can go into blue with it, so alright. I guess we'll take the Guide. Okay, now there's Myers Malice, Wavewing Elemental, Spell Shrivel. I think I actually want the Wavewing Elemental, another flyer. I think I underrated Wavewing at the beginning of the format. Turns out it's actually a pretty good card. So, let's do it. Ooh, that's a late Coastal Discovery. Yeah, gotta slam dunk that. Also Anticipate and Kozilek's Channeler, both of which would be fine, but yeah. Coastal Discovery is the pick. All right, I think actually Adverse Conditions looks fine for our deck. Looks like a card that's good for the tempo we can potentially do here. Fits the curve kind of nicely. All right, I guess we take Processor. Otherwise, Tandem Tactics move more towards... I like cutting all the blue, though, and I guess there's still a chance we can make Processor work. If I end up with, like, Benthic Infiltrator, which works fine. Anyway, yeah, why not? All right, got a Guide back. Continue to cut blue. We'll take another one. I guess Guide and Rune Processor are pretty good together. All right, I think I'll take Boiling Earth here. I'd rather be in blue-red than blue-white, I think. But I guess blue-red is more of a devoid strategy, is it not? It is. But Boiling Earth's a better card than Greathorn, so all right. Pretty successful pack one. We've managed to stay pretty open. We've only committed to blue, which is a pretty powerhouse color in this format. All right, Rush of Ice, definitely. Certainly seems like a card we could end up playing here. All right, guess we'll take Looming Spires. Ooh, Late Myers Malice. That's actually something to consider. Could still easily go into blue-black or blue-red. Either of those options seems good to me. Noyandar, you say. A couple Nettle Drones in here. Benthic Infiltrator. So if I take Noyandar, I mean, we're well set up to be a Blue-White Flyers deck. If we run Noyandar, we also have Adverse Conditions, Rush of Ice, Coastal Discovery so far. Infiltrator turns on Rune Processor. It's also good in blue-white, but if I was in blue-white, I'd rather just have Noyandar. Yeah, I think we just take Noyandar. And like I said, we're kind of well set up to be a blue-white Flyers deck since we have Sky Spawner, Wind Rider Patrol, Wavewing Elemental. All of which are pretty nice Flyers. Yeah, Noyandar it is, I think. See if we can't make this blue-white thing come together. Pilgrim's Eye seems fine. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else for us. There's no blue pick here. It also flies. Yeah, Pilgrim's Eye has always been a good card. In this format especially. Turns on splashes. Just finds you lands you want. Gives you a flyer. Yeah, I think it's got to be Pilgrim's Eye. There's nothing else. I guess Shadow Glider, actually. But I'd rather have Pilgrim's Eye. I'd rather find a land and lose a power and toughness. Yeah. Ooh, Tidecaller is a sick pickup here. We're going to take that over the Infiltrator and the Sentinel, both of which are great. But Coastal Discovery, Rush of Ice, we still have time to find more. I mean, we already have Myers Malice and Boiling Earth too, but Tidecaller is just too good to pass up here. Bit of a miss here. I guess I could take Greathorn. It seems like an okay card for blue-white Flyers. There's no blue card. There's an Angelic Gift, but most of our guys fly already, which makes it a little bit pointless. I guess we can take Greathorn. Otherwise, I'm like hate picking a card, which I don't really want to do yet. Alright, Spell Shrivel versus Merc Strider, and there's another Rune Processor, but probably good on that. Gonna have a hard enough time getting any value out of the first one. Probably just take Spell Shrivel. Works well with Noyandar, gives us some early plays. Counter spells in this format are good too. It also, I guess, turns on our first Rune Processor. Merc Strider just seems like a card that's not going to work based on what we currently have. Whereas I can just play Spell Shrivel. I actually think Skyline Cascade is probably pretty reasonable in this deck too. When you're flying in from above, turning off their ground attackers for a turn could be good. But I think we'll take Spell Shrivel. I mean, you can find Cascades pretty late. All right, Ghostly Sentinel and Reproach. We have 11 creatures. I think I'm going to take the removal. I like Ghostly Sentinel a lot, but we're very removal light currently. We basically just have Tightening Coils. So I actually think Gideon's Reproach is a card we want. pretty badly. I guess at this point we can pretty safely say we've committed to blue-white. Smite, Stonehaven Medic, and Incubator Drone. That's interesting. Incubator Drone's nice because it gives you a couple bodies on the ground, and it also kind of feeds into the Deathless Behemoth strategy. But Smite is more removal, which we might want. I guess I'm not really creature light at all with Rush of Ice and Coastal Discovery. Yeah, I could take Smite here. That seems fine. Let's get another removal spell. I like Incubator Drone too there. All right, Slab Hammer actually might be pretty good for us with the flyers especially. And if I end up with one of the lands, Cascade or the white one. Ooh, Courier Griffin. It's exactly what our deck's looking for. Flies, gains life. Excellent addition to any blue-white flyer. Here's our Sandstone Bridge. Okay, it's actually a very legitimate pickup here. It's going to motivate us to want to play the Slab Hammer a little bit more. It's good synergy. Getting Vigilance each turn. All right, Medic actually is surprisingly another card I underrated at the beginning. It just looked really worthless, especially just outside of the black-white life gain deck. It seemed very worthless, but it actually is it's a card I'd actually rather play than Coralhelm Guide in this deck. Okay, I'll take the gift now. Wow, Renewal goes late. Maybe I'm not going to play Angelic. Well, do I really care about Renewal? It gains life, it ramps. No, I think I'm just taking gift. It's good on a Greathorn. I guess it's good on a... I guess not much outside of that, huh? Well, it's good on a Deathless Behemoth and a Rune Processor, but I don't think that we're... Oh my god. Second to last pick, Ghostly Sentinel? This deck's really coming together nicely. Alright, we already have to make a cut. What did I... probably gift, I guess. Just seems like an easy thing to cut when... Ooh. Well, I'm not going to be able to turn on Blightherder, so I might just want Retreat to Emeria, which is always good. There's Blighted Cataract in here, but Retreat's just very powerful. Very powerful card. Gives you chump blockers, pumps your team. Let's probably cut a Coralhelm Guide, or start to cut Coralhelm Guides. They're just not something this deck really needs. And Retreat is just going to be insane. We have no ally synergies, but it doesn't even matter. Just going deep on landfall, getting dudes or pumping team is always going to be good. Like I said, Blighted Cataract is something we could easily play in here, but I feel like we can make some easy upgrades in this deck. Ruination Guide's surprisingly not that good for this deck. I guess it works well with Sky Spawner, works well with our Rush of Ice Coastal Discovery. Deathless Behemoth doesn't really need the help, but I guess it turns on Rune Processor. Is there anything else in here we care about, I guess is a better question. I actually think Incubator Drone's probably a better card for our deck. Although we do already have quite a few 4-drops. I don't really think Guide's all that good for us. It pumps Pilgrim's Eye, Sky Spawner, and Token. Adverse Condition Token. Stuff generated by Noyandar, which actually isn't even that insane in our deck. We only have a few spells that actually work with it, but it's a 5-mana. We're going to play it. Fortified Rampart's something good for our deck. It gives us something to do early. It's much better than Coralhelm Guide in our deck as well. I might not go on the Slab Hammer plan. Incubator Drone basically just gives us bodies. And it's probably better in our deck than Greathorn. Probably. I think I'm actually going Rampart just to get cheap stuff. Probably cut the second guide. Alright, Shadow Glider is basically just thematically, synergistically what our deck is looking for. There's a Smothering Abomination in here and a Cliffside Lookout. But let's get off the Slab Hammer plan. I don't think it's necessary, especially with one bridge. I think we'll just look for flyers, look for the cheap blockers. It's probably just better for us. Ooh, Ugin's Insight is very strong. There's also Sky Spawner in here. Wow. That's, I think we're off the processor plan, actually. We don't have any ways to do it outside of Spell Shrivel, which we might not even play with how this deck's coming. I might, because I'm running 20, or 18 lands, rather, I might just want Insight. I mean, this card is super strong. That's a lot of card advantage. Sky Spawner might just be what we want, though, just because it just puts out multiple bodies. Do we have any other ways to generate card advantage? Yeah, we already have Coastal Discovery. Maybe I don't need Insight. I mean, we can have just a really solid flying game plan with another Sky Spawner, I think. I think if I didn't already have Coastal Discovery, I'd be much more inclined to take Ugin's Insight, which, like I said, is a hugely powerful card. But Sky Spawner is just so good. Get a flyer, get a body on the ground, ramp. Yeah, we're going to take Sky Spawner. I think when in doubt, go for the cheaper sort of threat. Okay, Cloud Manta versus Tide Drifter. Tide Drifter gives us another early blocker. It pumps currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 creatures in our deck, which isn't bad, but it also is just a cheap blocker. Cloud Manta is another 4-drop. I'd probably pretty easily run it over a Greathorn. How's my evasion looking currently? I've got Pilgrim's Eye, Shadow Glider, Double Sky Spawner, Courier Griffin, Sentinel, Patrol, Wavewing Element. Geez, I'm actually doing good, but I wouldn't mind another Cloud Manta. Tide Drifter, though, might just be what we're looking for. Another cheap blocker. What do I cut for Cloud Manta? Could be the conditions. I think I'm actually taking Drifter. Sheer Drop is actually exactly what a deck like this wants. Maybe I don't need the Medic. I'd rather just run Tide Drifter. But more early plays are good. Actually, I think we're off the Spell Shrivel plan. Just it's a fine card. It just seems unnecessary. Not really what we need. I could sideboard into Smite pretty easily. But we are a bit removal light. It's not horribly, though. Reproach, Tightening Coils, Adverse Conditions, Rush. Could get off the Greathorn plan, actually. Greathorn's pretty take it or leave it. There's also Archive in here, but I think this deck actually wants a Sheer Drop. Yeah, actually, I know for a fact it does, especially with the Tide Caller. Yeah, we got to take Sheer Drop. It's just too good to... It's a late clutch. Slamming Clutch of Currents. At this point, I think I run it over Smite. I think I'd still rather have Adverse Conditions. That's debatable, though, I guess. Regardless, we're taking Clutch, so it doesn't matter. All right, Anticipate is very good. There's nothing else in here I really care about, so okay. Second Anticipate, second Rush of Ice. I think we're good in terms of Awaken spells, probably. We've already got to figure out some cuts. Maybe Adverse Conditions won't make the deck. Or Smite. Maybe we just stick to Noyandar. Well, Noyandar is good with those cards, but I'm thinking Tide Caller synergies. Stick to as many of the Awaken as we can run. I'm not going to play a second Anticipate. I'm probably not playing a second Rush of Ice, but I'll take it. All right, Unnatural Aggression, I guess. Sure. Dispel for sideboard could be something I want. I think Call to Scions could be something. All right, I think we're actually playing 2 Sandstone Bridges. Seems pretty free. Our mana base is not intense at all. All right, well, this is the point where we figure out cuts. So I need to make 2. This is definitely an 18-land deck because of Coastal Discovery. So and Retreat to Emeria. Yeah, like we totally just have stuff that rewards us for playing lands. Maybe I don't even play the first Anticipate, actually. I kind of feeling like Stonehaven Medic just might not make the cut. It's not necessary, probably. How good is the main deck Smite, the Monstrous? I guess that's the real question. Is Smite... I've always felt like Smite's a better sideboard card, but it's a perfectly acceptable main deck card. Smite versus Adverse Conditions. I'm not going to cut any of my Awaken spells. I really don't want to cut any of my flyers either. We've got a nice little fleet going here with Shadow Glider, Double Sky Spawner, Pilgrim's Eye, Griffin, Sentinel Patrol, Wavewing Elemental. That's a lot of flyers. It's nice. Tidecaller too. A little more flyer synergy. Ended up getting 4 Awaken spells, which is very nice. Current count on Noyandar is, if we run Anticipate, I guess it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's more than acceptable. So current creature count's 18 if you count Awaken, which I do. So we can easily cut creatures. I think Medic gets the boot. Fine card, especially in this deck, but we're good with our early blockers. Now I can cut Anticipate. I can also cut Smite the Monstrous. Kind of want to leave the Smite in. Removal is currently Gideon's Approach, Tightening Coils, Smite Conditions, Rush of Ice, Clutch, Sheer Drop. It's actually a pretty nice removal package. I could run both Adverse and Smite and just cut the Anticipate. I do like Anticipate. It just seems like we have better things going in this deck for the most part. And we're not really at risk of getting mana screwed because we have Pilgrim's Hive, we have double Sky Spawner. So we even have we have ways to get from 3 to 5 pretty nicely. And in a pinch, we can we can play these as 1-drops, which is fine. Like if we have a Noyandar out, I'm more willing to play this as a 1-drop. 1-drop and you still get a 3/3. But for 5 mana, you get a 6/6. Or 2 3/3s, both of which are pretty nasty. Even Sheer Drop at 3 mana is very useful. Yeah, I feel like cutting the Anticipate. It's a great card. I kind of just want all of these removal spells, though. I just like the versatility of our removal package. I actually think Adverse Conditions is very good in this deck. When you're flying over top, locking down their ground guys, it's just going to be really nice. This is a nice deck. It's a really kind of clean, focused strategy. Double Sandstone Bridge, like I said, I think is actually very nice for this deck. So we want to run more blue than white. Do we want to go 9/9? I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't see any real reason to go 10/8. We have 1 double blue, but 9/9 we should see both. We want white and blue early. We almost need, we need both early, but 9 and 9, we're going to see both, I think. Okay, this is the deck. I like it a lot. Like I said, I think this is a powerful blue-white flyers list. Very nice looking. So, not much to say. Pretty synergistically sound. Not much of a sideboard strategy, but some options. And, yeah, not much else to say. We'll see how Smite plays main deck. I guess it's a card I can easily sideboard out into Spell Shrivel, Anticipate, Dispel, maybe even Rush of Ice, another one for the Tidecaller. We'll see. But yes, if I was to rate this deck out of 10, I'd actually rate it pretty high. I feel like I said, it's very focused. It has good removal. I'd rate this pretty high. I would actually rate this deck probably around 8 out of 10. Which I know seems high, but it really is that focused of a deck. It's got very powerful uncommons. It's got a powerful rare in Noyandar. Final count on instants and sorceries is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is acceptable. At worst, it's a 5 mana 4/4, which is still pretty useful. So yeah, I like 8 out of 10. I think that's a fairly accurate assessment, but we'll have to see how it plays. All right, we'll see you round 1.